Coming up on Good Morning Illini, we have updates on the Russia and Ukraine conflict, and we hear insight from campus students who share some of their thoughts.
I'm concerned for the well-being of my family.
Later, we'll address the new mask mandates settling into place and how they'll affect students on campus. All this and more on this episode of Good Morning Illini.
Good morning, Illini. I'm Erica Flossbecker. It is February 25th.
And I'm Owen Henderson. It's great to have you all with us.
We're going to head straight to Carly Edwards with our first weather hit for the day. Hey, Carly.
Hey, Erica. Thanks. I'm glad that the winter storm warning ended around 6 a.m. today. And although that's over, the freezing cold is here to stay. Today, we have possible flurries throughout the day, and the current temperature right now outside is 28 degrees. We'll have clouds today, and so the sun won't be out, and the roads are still slick from the snow last night, so leave yourself a little bit more room to get to work wherever you have to go, to get where you need to be safely. Might even want to throw your snow boots on. Don't wear your good shoes so you don't ruin them with the slush, and I'll be back later for your full weekend forecast. Back to you, Erica and Owen.
Thank you, Carly. If you've been keeping up with the news, the tension between Russia and Ukraine has risen to the point of invasion. Owen, let's talk a little bit about how we got to where we are today.
Sure. So recently, Russian President Vladimir Putin has been demanding that Ukraine be barred from ever joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, even though Ukraine has never made any attempts to do so. But the United States and NATO countries are refusing to make that commitment to Putin.
Yeah, that's kind of the backdrop of what is going on. But let's talk to Good Morning Illini reporter Grace Brinkman. She's got a closer look at what exactly has been going on as of recent.
It's been a fast-moving few days in Russia's invasion over Ukraine. Just this morning, there have been several new developments, and here's the latest. The capital city of Ukraine was rocked last night by explosions caused by missile strikes and shelling. The president of Ukraine announced that 137 Ukrainians have been killed thus far and more than 300 wounded. Some citizens have been seeking shelter in underground subway stations. The mayor of Kiev says that the city has entered a phase of defense, and this morning, as Russian troops move in on the capital city of Kiev, officials are reportedly telling citizens to, quote, stay inside and prepare Molotov cocktails to defend themselves. Just a few hours ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin has signaled he is open to negotiations with the government of Ukraine. As violence continues, it is unclear if such negotiations would end the invasion. Also new this morning, the European Union says they are planning to freeze Putin's assets and issue more sanctions against the Russian leader. That follows President Joe Biden's announcement on Thursday that the U.S. has also issued more sanctions against Russia. In that announcement, Biden condemned Putin's invasion of Ukraine.
Putin's aggression against Ukraine will end up costing Russia dearly, economically and strategically. We will make sure of that. Putin will be a pariah on the international stage. Any nation that countenances Russia's naked aggression against Ukraine will be stained by association.
Just a few minutes ago, the New York Times reported that according to a senior U.S. defense official, Russia may be losing some momentum on their attack. We will be watching for developments as the day goes on.
Last night, Good Morning Illini producer Ryan Ash spoke with the director of the Ukrainian Studies program here at UIUC, Professor Roman Ivashko, to gain his perspective on the evolving situation. Let's see what he had to say.
Putin's regime and the Russian military started shelling Ukrainian cities, major Ukrainian cities, primarily in eastern and central Ukraine, targeting specifically the airports and military bases. There's also been, it's important to understand that Putin is also using Belarus and Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko. And so Ukraine is pretty much encircled. So there are Russian and Belarusian military in the north, Russian military in the east, and they're also attacking from the south because they already annexed the Crimean Peninsula in 2014. So far, Ukrainians have been successful in sort of still trying to resist, but who knows how, how much longer they'll be able to do that. So that's briefly what's happening at the moment. For a very long time, Putin has been framing this as civil war or some sort of internal conflict. Again, outrageous, ridiculous propaganda that unfortunately many were buying, especially people in the media who were always trying to give this kind of objective coverage without realizing that this is not a spectrum. This is a very black and white situation. You're dealing with a murderer, with a dictator, with a megalomaniac. So today it's apparently obviously clear that this was not a civil war or an internal conflict. Many experts thought that a full-scale invasion, re-invasion to be clear, because the first invasion started in 2014. So this full-scale invasion now would be the dead end, because what then? Many still believe, okay, you take over Ukraine, you install your puppet government, pro-Russian government, but there's going to be this, guerrilla, partisan, movement, insurgencies throughout the country. So it's a no-win situation really for him, but I think he still thinks that there are clear benefits. I mean, Ukraine is the biggest country in Europe. Putin will get access to the Black Sea and to the Sea of Azov. So for him, even if he stops at southeastern Ukraine, that's already a huge gain. Of course, what he probably is not realizing is that now the Western democracies have no other way but to isolate him. I think politically, Russia, if it's Putin's Russia, it needs to become another North Korea. And he needs to be treated as a criminal, as a dictator, as murderer of Russian journalists, of Russian public figures, of Russian activists, opposition leaders, poisoning people all over the world, not just in Russia. The most recent example is Alexei Navalny. As somebody who's Ukrainian and whose family is in Ukraine, I of course, as a person, I would love to see more military support coming from the West. Unfortunately, as a scholar and as somebody who knows what, how many different problems America has at the moment, I realize that this will probably not happen. Even if Ukraine falls, which is likely, unfortunately, because they're so heavily outnumbered, this is going to be the beginning of the end of this terrible regime, this dictatorship, this criminal, government that has been in power in Russia for 21 years. To hold a gun at somebody's head and blackmail the entire world and now invade and kill somebody who he used to call the same people, the same nation, Slavic brethren. Come on, deep inside, I do believe that ultimately justice and truth have to prevail. Of course, I'm sad that, this is going to cost a lot of Ukrainian lives. But, if that's what it's going to be, I still hope that the truth and justice will prevail. Thank you.
We spoke to University of Illinois Ukrainian student whose parents immigrated from Ukraine decades ago. Good Morning Illini producer Beza Viral sat down with Thais Braslavsky for an interview. Thais expressed her concerns for her ancestral homeland, extended family in Kyiv, and for the people of Ukraine. Let's take a look.
This is an invasion, and obviously it does create, safety concerns. For people that are in Ukraine. So that's kind of, I think, the primary concern. Obviously, politically, it's national sovereignty, and it's a blatant violation of international law. And primary concern is safety for the people that live there. Again, I am concerned for the well-being of the people in the country that my family is from.
We also heard from another Ukrainian student on campus, Victoria Kindratenko, who expressed her distress of being on campus while her country is under attack. Let's take a look.
It's been kind of devastating watching the news from here because, we're in America, we can't really do anything. You just kind of feel powerless. But I think you retain kind of some hopefulness for your family. So my grandparents are there, cousins there, kind of everyone's there. So it's really stressful watching the news just because you kind of hope and pray you don't see your city kind of on the news. You know, they're kind of making these big moves against all of these, I guess, airports or military stations. And there's one really close to where my grandparents live. So we're anxiously watching to see if they've made any hits there. There's, you know, like the air raid sirens everywhere, which is really scary if you've seen the videos. It's just this kind of loud, terrifying notice that something might happen. So it's just been kind of stressful watching all of that, I would say. Stressful is probably.
While the country and many Illinois students have been focusing on the international tensions, multiple anti-Semitic attacks have been reported on the University of Illinois campus. Chancellor Jones sent out a mass mail on Sunday harshly condemning the hate speech. Plastic bags filled with rocks and flyers containing hate speech against the Jewish community were found on campus over the weekend. The flyers contain anti-Semitic speech regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Chancellor Jones wrote in the mass mail that spreading these messages is a cowardly and craven way to spew hate and division in our community. Any information regarding the attacks can be sent to the UIPD.
Ian Katz-Nelson is a senior here at the university, and he said you would expect to see advertisements or coupons lying around, not bags full of lies and hate toward the Jewish community.
It really was not only scary, but it was frightening.
That was Katz-Nelson's reaction to the anti-Semitic flyers.
What I don't expect to see is just rampant and disgusting, vile anti-Semitism and hatred.
For Katz-Nelson, he thinks that the hate and anti-Semitism is never going to end.
I think it's one of the plagues that have been really trying to hurt the Jewish community for literally millennia.
When Katz-Nelson was a freshman, he saw a swastika drawn in a bathroom stall. Still 4 years later, he wishes he can get it out of his mind.
Because just as all the great things that I have experienced my freshman year that feel like it was yesterday.
He said although things like the flyers make him scared, resources like Illini Hillel gives him a support system. Ayers Cohen, the executive director for Illini Hillel, said that if he were to sit down with the people who distributed the flyers, he would say hate isn't the answer.
Pain stems from something. This is about their internal pain, and they need to figure out where it's coming from.
After giving statements to the university police, Cohen hopes UIPD and the university can work to put an end to anti-Semitism on campus.
The university really need to work hard with action and not just word to make sure that every student on this campus feels welcome and safe, and that includes the Jewish community.
Although the flyers are gone, it still leaves a lingering effect.
As a Jewish student, it's definitely something that paints a really negative picture.
The hate seems never ending, as early Wednesday it was reported that a swastika had been drawn in the bathroom at the Saunders Residence Hall.
In response to Chancellor Jones's mass mail, both Katz-Nelson and Cohen said they thought it was fast and fantastic. However, there's still more work to be done, like education.
Joining us at the desk is Carly Edwards to tell us what the weekend weather will look like. Hey, Carly.
Hey, Owen. Temperatures will be rising just a tad this weekend with the sun out for the first time in a minute, and it will feel warmer than it is. Let's take a look at this video I got on the way to the studio this morning. With all that ice out there, you can see the snow removal team is working their way to plow the sidewalks so I could get into the studio in the building and tell you guys all about the weekend weather. Finally, or speaking of, as we'll see the sun peek through starting tomorrow and throughout the weekend. Today we will see a high of 30 degrees and then it will hit a low of 17 degrees. It'll be cloudy all out there today, and luckily tomorrow the sun, like I said, will be peeking out through those clouds there, and we will see a high of 35 degrees, and it will continue through the weekend on Sunday with a high of 43 degrees there, and hopefully it will melt some of the snow we've been seeing on the ground from like the past 2 weeks that we've had here. Hopefully it'll melt away the ice too, so I stop slipping and sliding out there in the car and when I'm out there walking to class. And I hope that when I walk out the door, my face won't freeze, and that'll be a nice change to have some sun there. So that's all I have for the weekend weather. Thank you, and back to you guys at the desk.
Coming up after the break, we'll give you an update on the university's new masking guidance.
We'll also learn about the recently announced Roger Ebert Center for Film Studies.
This really was Roger Ebert's dream.
We're gonna hustle. We're gonna hustle. That's all that matters.
Coach of the year. A little nervous. There's a lot of experienced men. And we are. I don't see any. And we are females. I am scared of the boys. Oh, good idea. Like every first show, the first game is ready.
Let's get a can on three, can on three. 1, 2, 3, can! Hey, we took
Good evening, and welcome to Season 6 of Illini Sports Night.
Illini Sports Night is a weekly Illinois athletics-based television show where we tell in-depth stories, give insightful analysis, and talk to some of your favorite Illinois sports figures. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out our Vimeo page. Illini Sports Night, Tuesdays at 9 p.m.
Welcome back to Good Morning Illini. I'm Erica Flossbecker.
And I'm Owen Henderson. It's great to have you all with us. Starting Monday, the university will begin enforcing their updated mask guidelines after Governor Pritzker announced a partial lift of Illinois' mask mandate by the end of February. Let's send it over to Erica, who will give us more details on the new mask rules. To get some insight from the campus community, Good Morning Illini reporter Patrick Catazone spoke with some university students to get some of their thoughts on the new lift.
Christos Kanalakis is one of those students that is excited for the mask change. He's excited that he will no longer need to wear his mask at the activities and recreation center.
The arc, it's kind of important because I work out a lot and the mask kind of restricts your breathing and things like that, so that's kind of nice.
Kanalakis has yet to have a full in-person experience, and a future change in policy signals hope that mask mandates will end for classes as well.
Aspect of class that we kind of miss out on, and as a sophomore I really haven't had the experience of being able to see anyone like physically unless you're on Zoom.
While some students are excited to leave their mask at home, not all students are ready to ditch the mask yet.
For me, I kind of found it as a shock when I got the news.
Regina Gonzalez is a political science student at the University of Illinois who isn't ready to ditch her mask yet.
I feel like we're really in the thick of the pandemic with the upcoming variants and whatnot, so I found it kind of surprising that they were lifting it this soon. I thought it would probably be later.
So for Gonzalez, it will remain status quo.
I'm still going to keep my mask on. I'm not changing much for right now, but I mean, I know others are very excited about it.
Kanalakis knows that all mask mandates won't end immediately, but is optimistic for more change.
I'm pretty excited to see that happen at some point. I don't know when that will happen. I obviously know it's going to have to be a gradual thing because if you just do it all at once, it could create, a problem.
Students will see the change as soon as Monday when the university non-instructional building's mask mandate ends. For UI7 Live, I'm Patrick Catazone.
Now we're going to send it over to Erica for some updates on the clarification of what the mask mandate will be.
Thank you, Owen. Starting this upcoming Monday, February 28th, face coverings will no longer be required in non-instructional facilities, such as the Activities and Recreation Center. Masks will still be mandatory for in-person classes. Some exceptions to these lifted rules include healthcare facilities, such as COVID testing sites, federal mandated spaces like public transportations, and specific university events. For these events, proof of vaccination or recent negative tests will still be required. Aside from that, spaces such as libraries and the Illini Union will no longer be requiring face coverings for the community. Back to you, Owen.
Thanks, Erica. On a more creative and lively note, the College of Media is launching a new program in their Media and Cinema Studies department. With the help of fundraising and donations of $5 million, the Roger Ebert Center launches in fall 2022. The Ebert Center will offer new, concrete opportunities to students in the film studies major. UI7's Maddie Kemmers has the story.
The Roger Ebert Center, with donations first coming from Ebert and his wife Chaz, will give students access to guest lectures, symposiums, and experiential learning opportunities.
This really was Roger Ebert's dream for his legacy. So he grew up in town, he got his degree here, and he really felt that what happened for him here launched him on the way to the rest of his life. And they wanted that same opportunity for students. So, our expectation is that it's really going to enrich the experiences of students who are here. And given those experiences that we can offer, that will continue to attract a really excellent and diverse group of students to the department and to the college and the university as a whole.
Earlier this year, the Richard and Leslie Frank Center opened after a donation of $7.5 million. The Roger Ebert Center will be the next addition to the College of Media.
The center has come to be because of the generosity of many donors who've come together, inspired by that lead gift that Roger and Chaz Ebert made.
In Urbana, Maddie Tremors, UI7 Live.
How nice is that?
I know, it's really exciting that programs that may not get as much attention, like the engineering programs, can get some more money and love from the university and from our donors. Like the Media and Cinema Studies department.
Absolutely, a wonderful tribute. And a director of the Ebert Center will be selected out of the Media and Cinema Studies department. They will be in charge of coordinating the launch come next fall.
While Media and Cinema Studies is somewhat of a creative outlet, Illini Union's Musical Mondays really got some students to test out their dance skills. Let's go to Good Morning Illini's reporter Elena Cleary for more.
Thank you, Owen. Not only did students get to dance, they also got to meet new people. Let's see how music brings people together.
The Illini Union holds a weekly Musical Monday event in the Courtyard Cafe. Who better to perform than a University of Illinois alum? DJ Rico Mash, best known for remixing Latin music, had the crowd on their feet. He is proud to give back to the university through his performances. Right now he is planning
a DJ competition, kind of to find like U of I's next DJ. So I'm working with the union right now to set that up.
Most students who ended up on the dance floor were just doing homework or passing by. They hear a good song, run in, dance, and jet out.
That to me is just, I caught somebody's attention. I made them forget about whatever was going on. Oh, I got something like a paper I got to get done. And for that moment, they were in the zone, they were living. So, yeah, that's what I do.
The university is huge, and Rico Mash brings students together who may have never met otherwise.
It definitely brings out people from different backgrounds, and you kind of just get to have a good time with them, and you kind of just have to socialize with them as well. To ask you like, oh, what's your name? Like, what's your major? Or like, how did you learn how to dance? This and that. It just kind of brings out everybody out.
Here's to more Musical Mondays at the Union.
Yeah, Rico Mash is really a great guy. I got to interview him twice. It's so nice to see talent come straight out of U of I. And if you want to check out some more of Rico Mash's work, You could catch him on some of the Latin nights at the Union. He usually performs once or twice per month, and he also performs annually at the Late Nighter on the Quad in August. Live in the studio, I'm Elena Clary. Back to you, Erica.
Thanks, Elena. Tune in next week to Good Morning Illini to take a look into what CU Adventures has planned.
Friday on Good Morning Illini.
The biggest challenge was getting people in the building.
A business reliant on interaction struggles during the pandemic.
We had to shut down just like everyone did, so we couldn't operate.
Now CU Adventures turn their struggle into success.
I think people feel safe and comfortable coming back, so we have a good number of people that are coming back.
Their story of survival, Friday at 11 o'clock.
For some events coming up this weekend, today there will be a noontime performers from 12 to 1 p.m. at the Illini Union.
Then the Illini Union will be showing the Marvel movie Eternals in the Pine Lounge from 7 to 9 p.m. on both Friday and Saturday. Oh, and have you seen the movie?
I have not actually seen the movie, but I do enjoy Marvel movies in general, but there's just, so much new stuff coming out. They've got all their stuff on Disney+, they've got all the TV shows. It's kind of hard to keep up.
Yeah, to be honest, I am not a Marvel fan. I never got into it. Maybe I was too young when I started to watch a little bit, but yeah, I just never really got into it.
I don't know, now there are people who are just starting to get into it who, there's so many movies out that they start watching them all. Maybe they watch them in the order they came out. Maybe they watch them in the order that they take place in the timeline of the universe. But there's so much out there. There's got to be. I'm sure you'll find a Marvel movie that you'll like. There's so many options to choose from.
What's your favorite?
Oh, that's such a great question. I really like Thor Ragnarok. It's a little different because it's a lot funnier than a lot of the other Marvel movies, but a lot of my friends really love Captain America. They really love the Infinity War Avengers movie.
Right. Those are popular.
Yeah. Now, on Saturday, we'll be having a Polish orchestra perform at the Follinger Great Hall in the Krannert Center at 7:30 p.m.
And if you missed any part of our broadcast or just want to rewatch it again, check us out on demand on our Vimeo channel. Be sure to give us a like on our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Plus, you can see all of our stories on our website at ui7live.com/WP. Oh, and this was so fun to be anchoring with you today.
I know.
Obviously, some heartfelt, newsworthy, deep, impactful stories that are happening and things going on in the world. But
some really heavy topics, especially for my very first newscast with Good Morning Illini. But I think these are stories that are really, really important to cover, really worth bringing to light.
Absolutely, and we can see that it's affected our students here on campus. Definitely very emotional, but we're hoping to be of support to anyone going through any challenges during these tough times, especially because this is such a global issue right now.
Everything's changing so quickly, and you hear all the reporting. There's just so many really tough decisions having to be made by the people living there in Ukraine and their relatives living here. It's got to be so tough to know, like, that they're just so far away from you, and there's really not much you can do to help. And then the hate speech, and it's so good that our university really came out and condemned that so strongly, so quickly.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Our university does so much to help our students and faculties, and really tackles any of these injustices happening on campus. So I give our university a lot of credit for that.
All right, that's all we have for you this time.
Have a good weekend and make sure to have a Good Morning, Illini.